Moonlight pooled in silver patches across Greenwood City's sprawling landfill, turning piles of refuse into sculpted shadows. A gentle hum of distant traffic mixed with the occasional thump of shifting garbage trucks. But here, in this hidden world of discarded waste, the night belonged to Rocky the Raccoon. His masked face glowed in the dim light as he padded along a ridge of crushed soda cans and soggy cardboard. Each step was measured, silent, his padded feet leaving ghost-soft imprints in the damp refuse. Rocky paused at the lip of a deep trench where heaps of obsolete electronics teetered, cracked smartphones, tangled audio cables, and motherboards scorched by time and neglect. He sniffed a scorched circuit board and recoiled as the acrid tang of burning solder stung his nostrils. Intrigued, he nosed aside a layer of broken plastic casings to reveal a cluster of lithium-ion batteries leaking a thin sheen of oily electrolyte. His whiskers trembled with alarm. This was more than mere trash. These chemicals, lead, cadmium, mercury, could poison his creek's water and the soil where he foraged. With cautious precision, Rocky selected one emerald green circuit board pulled from a defunct laptop. He inspected its delicate array of copper traces and silver solder points, marveling at the tiny microchips that blinked faintly with residual charge. Using nimble paws, he pried free a removable memory module and slipped it into the leather pouch he'd fashioned from an old glove. Then, driven by his uncanny instinct, he uncovered a hidden cache. Behind a crumpled panel lay a stack of industrial capacitors stamped with hazardous symbols. Their broken tops oozed a viscous fluid that pooled in the mud, enough to kill an entire family of otters downstream. A thunder of thunderous paws echoed as Rocky vaulted from the trench, scattering shards of PCB and plastic into the night air. He raced across the landfill's crest, following a well-worn path beneath chain-link fences toward the city's edge. There lay the abandoned culvert where he had first tasted the creek's water as a curious kit. A moonlit tunnel carved by storm runoff, its walls slick with moss and algae. Here, he had rallied his friends, an ingenious crow named Iris and a resourceful tabby called Whiskers, to share his dire news. He knew they would understand. Each of them had seen the landfill's poison seep into their own homes and hunting grounds. As Rocky slipped into the culvert's mouth, the pungent air of mold and decay enveloped him. In the dim glow of phosphorescent fungi clinging to the ceiling, he laid out his findings: the memory module, the capacitors, and the dripping remnants of toxic juice. Iris landed on a ledge overhead, her glossy feathers catching what little light there was, while Whiskers padded in with clipped confidence. Together they studied the components, their eyes gleaming with recognition. These parts could be reassembled, repurposed, even transformed. Rocky tapped the memory module 3 times on the stone floor. A silent signal they had agreed meant urgent problem. And in the echoing chamber, a pact was formed. Tonight, beneath the city's slumbering streets, the trio vowed to turn Greenwood's lethal garbage into a force for good. With stolen solar cells from derelict streetlights and scavenged wire from abandoned lampposts, they would build a secret makerspace, an underground workshop of hope. And so, as the first faint glow of dawn tinted the horizon, Rocky emerged once more into the landfill's ruins, paws dusted with both mud and determination, ready to ignite a recycling revolt unlike any the city had ever seen. As the city slumbered, Rocky led Iris and Whiskers deeper into the culvert's labyrinth of slick stone and dripping moss. By torchlight, a salvaged LED panel powered by a small solar cell, maps of Greenwood's trash streams were pinned to the damp wall with strips of wire. Cardboard boxes became storage bins. Discarded oil drums served as benches and work tables. With nimble paws and beak, the trio set to work. Iris, the crow, stashed lengths of copper wire scavenged from broken street lamp posts into a coil at one corner. Her sharp beak stripped insulation from the wire faster than humans could with pliers. Whiskers, the cat, batted aside shards of brittle circuit board, assembling them by chip count, memory modules in one pile, microcontrollers in another. She balanced precariously atop the drum as she sorted, fur dusted with solder residue and cardboard fibers. Rocky crouched over a battered bicycle generator, its chains rusted but intact, hauling a crumbling solar panel from his pack. He fitted the panel to a wooden frame braced against the culvert wall, wiring it to the generator's terminals. With a triumphant snort, he gave the bicycle's pedal crank a spin. The LED panel hummed to life, casting a cool white glow across the workspace. Next, they tackled the micro shredder. Using an old food processor base found amid kitchen appliance debris, Rocky mounted a set of improvised stainless steel blades fashioned from scrap steel. Iris tightened metal fasteners, her claws tapping in precision. Whiskers hooked up the generator's drive belt. When Rocky flipped the switch, the blades whirred and spun, slicing through a stale motherboard, copper traces snapping free in spirals. Emboldened, they expanded. A ratty oil drum, its lid punctured to form a chimney, became a smelter for raw metal reclamation. Oliver, no, Whiskers, knocked together clay pellets as crucibles. Iris monitored the fire's temperature by eye, flitting to adjust airflow via a salvaged bellows. Rocky shoveled shards of circuit board into the glowing furnace, molten solder pooled at the bottom, ready for casting into new wires and connectors. All through the night they toiled, forging copper ingots, extruding wire, fabricating battery holders from recycled plastic, and cobbling together a rudimentary printed circuit board etching tank from an old aquarium liner and vinegar solution. By the time the sky blushed with pre-dawn light, the culvert echoed not with crime but with creation. 3 identical solar lamp prototypes stood lined on a damp stone shelf, casings molded from empty detergent bottles, panels powered by scavenged cells, and diffusers made from shredded plastic containers fused by heat. Each bore the emblem of a raccoon mask, a seal of their midnight makerspace. Rocky surveyed their handiwork with pride. "Tomorrow," he chattered softly, "we bring light, literal and figurative, to Greenwood's darkest corners." Iris cawed in agreement, and Whiskers purred, rubbing against the lampstands like a feline stamp of approval. As the city awakened above, the culvert lay silent once more, harboring a secret engine of transformation. In its hidden depths, the masked bandit and his crew had spun garbage into gold, electric innovation forged from toxic trash, ready to spark the recycling revolt whose ripple would soon awaken an entire community. The moon had barely crested the skyline when the culvert makerspace sprang to uneasy life. A hush settled over the narrow tunnel as Iris, perched on a rusted pipe, scanned the dark entrance with her keen black eyes. Whiskers, stretched along a nearby bench fashioned from a discarded oil drum, twitched her ears in alert. Rocky padded to the center of the workspace, heart pounding with anticipation. Tonight, their secret micro-shredder would face its first true test. Moments later, the air quivered with the whisper of rubber soles against concrete. Through the tunnel's mouth emerged 2 figures. Green Tech Recyclers operatives, clad head to toe in matte black coveralls, night vision goggles throwing eerie green glows over their features. They carried a duffel bag bulging with bolt cutters and a high-grade pry bar. With mechanical precision, they slipped inside and clicked flashlights off, relying solely on the goggles' phosphorescence to navigate. As one man knelt by the solar-powered LED panel and pried at its wiring, the other stalked toward the micro-shredder's hidden alcove. Iris gave a low caw-caw, Rocky's agreed signal, and the tiny team braced for action. Suddenly, a soft clatter echoed as Iris's talon flicked a small pile of fine copper shavings onto the floor. The first intruder, boots crunching on the metal dust, froze. His goggles flickered as the reflective particles scattered into the air, bouncing back each bead of infrared light like a hail of laser dots, blinding him in a shimmering haze. Cursing, he clawed at the goggles' straps, fumbling to wipe the lenses. Seizing the moment, Whiskers bounded from her bench. She leapt onto the intruder's back, her claws engineered for delicate precision, and yanked a canister from the duffel, an allegedly high-tech scent suppressant. With a deft flick, she triggered it. A cloud of acrid toner dust exploded, filling the culvert with the stinging perfume of overheated printer cartridges. The 2 hackers staggered apart, coughing and blinking, torn between scrubbing their eyes and stifling their hacking ambitions. Rocky darted forward, ears flattened, and bit through the other operative's slick, reinforced gloves, snagging at wires and tools with surprising force. The startled hacker flung his arms wide, scattering bolt cutters and flash drives across the floor. Rocky snatched the pry bar with a triumphant snuffle and tossed it behind him, landing squarely in a puddle of discarded coolant that hissed and steamed around the intruder's boots. In the suffocating confusion, half lit by the blinking LEDs and Iris's rapid-fire caws, the smugglers exchanged a panicked glance. One dove for the door, only to collide with Whiskers, who had cut off his exit with a swipe of her tail. The other, blinded by the copper haze, backed into a stack of cardboard crates, sending them crashing in a clatter that echoed like rolling thunder. Their night vision goggles clattered to the floor, abandoned in the scramble. Within seconds, the culvert's narrow passage filled with the triumphant chitter of 3 allies. Rocky hopped atop a crate and let out a single emphatic grunt, his victory call. The hackers, disoriented and dripping with toner slurry, conceded defeat and fled back into the night, leaving behind the duffel bag brimming with abandoned tools and the faintest echo of high-heeled metal boots. When silence returned, Iris preened feather-loosened plumes. Whiskers licked toner residue from her paws, and Rocky, tail flicking in pride, surveyed the intact micro-shredder. Their midnight workshop had survived its greatest threat. The masked bandit had not only repelled the heist, but turned the criminal's own greed into the very dust that blinded them. In the glimmer of dawn's first light filtering into the culvert, the 3 friends shared a silent agreement. Their recycling revolt would only grow stronger from here. By the time dusk settled over Greenwood City, the abandoned culvert beneath Elm Street had blossomed into a hidden workshop aglow with recycled innovation. Rocky ambled to his makeshift workbench, an upturned oil drum topped with a sheet of plywood, where Iris and Whiskers were already at their stations. Tonight was the first open recycle gathering, and word of mouth among neighborhood children and urban wildlife had drawn an eclectic crowd. The workshop's walls, lined with corrugated sheet partitions and string lights scavenged from broken street lamps, were plastered with hand-drawn schematics, solar lamp wiring diagrams, step-by-step instructions for circuit board etching, and safety protocols for handling solder. A long embrace of plywood benches held bins of sorted materials, plastic bottles shredded into translucent flakes, bundles of stripped copper wire, trays of memory chip fragments, and arrays of tiny LEDs scavenged from streetlight fixtures. As the clock struck 8, children in mismatched overalls filed in, clutching backpacks bulging with e-waste contributions, old cell phones, expired batteries, a broken drone camera. Squirrels darted overhead along a suspended wooden beam, dropping walnuts into a collection tin as payment for salted nuts. Pigeons cooed from a high rafters, each clutch carrying shredded copper and bits of tissue paper. Whiskers greeted the newcomers with a reassuring rub against ankles, while Iris wheeled in an old bicycle generator donated by the neighborhood repair shop. Rocky tapped the microphone fashioned from a discarded megaphone grill, his paw echoing in the culvert's vaulted chamber. Welcome, everyone. Tonight, we learn to turn Greenwood's trash into tools and art. Let's begin with copper extraction. He waved to Iris, who produced a coil of wire. With deft precision, Iris demonstrated using a portable induction heater made from repurposed stovetop coils to melt solder and free copper traces from circuit boards. Children gasped as molten droplets pooled in a makeshift crucible beneath Whiskers' careful supervision. Next, Rocky led a hands-on session. Each child selected a handful of shredded plastic flakes and placed them between 2 sheets of old printer transparency. Sliding the sandwich atop a charcoal briquette stove, they watched the plastic soften and fuse into a single, flexible sheet, perfect for lamp diffusers. These translucent panels were then cut to size with safe, battery-powered rotary tools Iris had scavenged from a broken Dremel kit. Meanwhile, on one side of the workshop, a team of jovial pigeons directed by Rocky's gentle cooing carried bundles of copper strips to the children's tables. There, under Rock's guidance, kids wove the strips into simple inductor coils, soldering them onto small PCBs to complete the lamp circuits. Whiskers prowled around, ensuring every solder joint was neat and that no one's whiskers got singed by stray sparks. As prototypes began to glow, tiny solar-powered lanterns flickering to life, Rocky called for the Upcycle Art segment. Children used circuit board fragments and colored resins to mosaic onto wooden panels, creating depictions of Greenwood landmarks. One group fashioned a stylized mural of the old water tower. Another recreated the city skyline in shimmering copper and glass. By midnight, the culvert resonated with triumphant chatter. Children flexed their new inventions, squirrels nibbled celebratory nuts, and pigeons rustled with pride. Rocky surveyed the scene. Rows of glowing lamps, polished copper ingots, functional electronics born from refuse, and bright young faces alight with possibility. The recycle makerspace had transformed from a clandestine lab into a beacon of community ingenuity. As the last participants filed out, Rocky, Iris, and Whiskers worked together to clean up, stow tools, and secure storage bins for tomorrow's workshop. The culvert was still, save for the steady hum of charging solar panels. In the hush, Rocky tapped the mic one last time and cooed softly. Tonight, we turned garbage into gold, not just metals, but ideas, hope, and a community united. High above, the city lights winked in silent applause. Deep in the culvert, the masked bandits' midnight revolt had ignited a grassroots revolution. One circuit board and solar lamp at a time, proving that when creativity and cooperation meet, even the smallest heroes can spark the greatest change. By mid-morning sunlight, an electric buzz rippled through Greenwood's neighborhoods. Word of the culvert makerspace and its glowing prototypes had spread beyond the city's margins, igniting a grassroots movement. Recycle stations now dotted every block. Children and parents wheeled in bikes laden with e-waste, broken printers, defunct laptops, spent AA batteries. Rock-hard car tires were repurposed as cable spools. Crushed soda cans served as feedstock for aluminum smelting demonstrations. Under banners painted with Iris's crow silhouette and Whiskers' cat paws, volunteers, young and old, organized mountains of cast-off gadgets into neat piles by material. Plastics, ferrous metals, copper wiring, circuit boards. At the heart of this civic transformation stood Rocky. He padded beneath the proud marquee of Greenwood Community Plaza, where city officials and local businesses had erected a towering recycle pavilion. Dozens of solar-powered shredder kiosks, each a miniature version of Rocky's original micro-shredder, hissed and whirred as citizens fed in old motherboards and tangled cables. Nearby, a demonstration stage hosted rotating workshops. One taught children how to etch printed circuit art, another guided teenagers in wiring up trash-powered USB chargers. Whiskers oversaw the soldering station, her paw-sized safety goggles reflecting the solder's molten glow, while Iris soared above the crowds, dropping leaflets printed on recycled pulp with decals reading, "Turn your trash into treasure." Mayor Thompson, flanked by city council members, took to the stage at noon. What began as one raccoon's vision has blossomed into a citywide revolution, he announced, voice booming through solar-arrayed speakers. We're proud to declare Greenwood the first zero-waste municipality in our region. He gestured to Rocky, who trotted forward to receive a custom-forged medal, his mask emblem engraved in bronze and wood. Applause thundered as Rocky let out a single, jubilant snort before darting back to the pavilion, eager to resume his post. As evening settled, the recycle pavilion became a beacon of lantern-lit innovation. Families gathered around tables festooned with fruit battery voltage testers and kaleidoscopic circuit board mosaics. Squirrels darted along overhead cables, delivering stray nuts to participants. Pigeons lined the rafters, each clutch of recycled wire glinting in the lantern glow. In the center, a grand sculpture, a towering totem of fused plastics and reclaimed circuit fragments shaped like Greenwood's skyline, stood as testament to what a community, united by one masked bandit's ingenuity, could achieve. Long after the crowds dispersed and the last shredder drums slowed to a hush, Rocky lingered among the empty crates and gentle glow of solar panels. He nosed a fallen ribbon from the mayor's ceremony, edging it into his leather pouch as a keepsake. As stars blinked awake overhead, the masked bandit slipped silently into the night, his heart full, his task complete. In his wake rose a city transformed, a living testament that the smallest heroes, with courage and creativity, can spark a movement powerful enough to turn garbage into gold.